Yes, it is still technically September when this video comes out, but if you are planning a vacation to Disney World in 2026, it is always best to start planning as soon as you can. And if you already have something booked for 2026, this video would be great for you to know what's going on during the time that you're going to be there. There's might be some refurbishments going on that you weren't aware of, and you still have time to switch things up if you need to. And there are definitely things going on in Disney World for 2026, lots of closures. But before we get into all of that, I did just want to introduce myself in case you're new here. My name is Allison, and here at my channel, I like to make all different types of Disney World content, including vlogs from our own family vacations. So if that is content that you enjoy watching, definitely hit that red subscribe button. Now let's get into the rest of the video. Now we definitely don't have all the dates for everything going on in 2026. I mean, you can't even make a booking yet past like October, the end of October. So obviously we don't know everything that's going to be going on in 2026, but this is a pretty good idea to get you started on things that we do know. And another reason to subscribe is because I will be putting out new videos, even if it's just like a short, if there's like something quick that comes out about something going on in 2026, I will be making those videos. So you should subscribe, especially if you're going to be traveling in 2026, so you can keep up with all the new things that are going on. So the first thing I do want to talk about is the current promotion that's going on throughout all of 2026, at least until the end of October. I don't know, sometimes the holiday season has its own promotions, but the one that is currently out is a free dining plan for kids. Now, when they say kids, they mean ages 3 to 9. If your kid is under 3, they are free for everything, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you have a child 10 and older, they do count as an adult in Disney terms. So that's for your ticket prices as well as dining. They are considered an adult. So if you have kids between the ages of 3 and 9, this is actually a really great promotion. Now, what you need to do to get this promotion is you need to have a package, you know, your resort and your tickets, and then you also need to purchase the dining plan, and then you will have the kids dining plan along with that. You can't have separate dining plans. Like, it's either all or nothing with that. So if you have 2 adults and 2 kids, everybody needs to have the dining plan. You can't just take the dining plan for one person. It's everybody in your party. So as long as you are getting that dining plan, your kids who are 3 and 9 will get it for free. And this is really great if you have multiple kids between those ages, which I know a lot of you probably do. So this is really great and will save you so much money when it comes to food. Now, I don't normally suggest getting the dining plan on normal terms. And if you're interested in learning why, I do have a completely separate video that I made talking about why I don't recommend it. And I'm going to link that down below. But I do recommend getting it if you're going to get a promotion like this. This can really save you so much money. So the other promotion, or I guess in this term, perk, it's not really a promotion, is the free water park on arrival day. Now the kicker is this is only going to be available in 2026 for the summer. So that's going to start off sometime in May. We don't really have an exact date yet of when that's going to start. And it'll probably end at the end of summer. Whenever that, you know, usually the end of August, probably like Labor Day time. So this, in 2026, they're going to be changing that, because in 2025, you got the free water park on your arrival day, no matter when you were traveling. So that was really nice. I'm glad they're bringing it back for 2026. You know, it kind of does make a little bit more sense to have it during the summer. That's when most people are going to the water parks. And so we're going to get into the Epcot festivals. Now, again, we don't have any of the dates. Currently, we don't know any of the dates for any of the festivals right now. But the first one that comes out in the year is Festival of the Arts. And that's usually starting like mid-January to like the end of February. So if you're traveling to Disney World, you know, right after the new year, you know, those first couple of weeks of January, you're not going to have an Epcot festival available. So if you are really wanting to see a festival, the first couple weeks of January really aren't the best times to go because there are no festivals before, after the Festival of the Holidays and then before Festival of the Arts, there's a little bit of a couple week gap there. So if you really want to go during a festival, it's important to keep note of these dates. Again, they're not set in stone right now, but it's pretty fair to say that it's going to be mid-January to the end of February. So late January, early February, you're probably going to be in that time zone. So then we move on to the Flower and Garden Festival. And again, there's going to be a couple week break in between these. So this is going to start early March and then go into the end of May or sometimes even early June. So that's going to take care of the whole spring season. And then unfortunately, there is no festival during the summer until we get to the very tail end. The end of August will be the Food and Wine Fest, and that goes from late August all the way until usually like the week before Thanksgiving in November. So that's a pretty big, time that, you can pretty be secure in knowing that you're going to be there during that time if you go September and October and most of November. And then we move into Festival of the Holidays, which is a very short festival because obviously it's just during the holiday season. So that usually starts the day after Thanksgiving and then goes until December 30th. Right before the new year. So if you do want to see that festival, you're really kind of limited to December. Like that's really the only time you're going to be able to see that festival. Now we're going to get into the special events that are happening that we already know about. Now, some other ones could pop up, but these are the ones that are definitely set in stone. So first up, we have the Run Disney events, which are the marathon events. And, it's important to keep these dates in mind. They don't necessarily make the parks super crowded, but you could find that transportation sometimes can get halted or delayed by these events, especially if the marathons are running, through the roads or whatever. If you're driving, if you need to do bus transportation. So it's just something to think about, especially where you are staying in the resorts during these times. If you're on the Skyliner route or the monorail and you're going to Magic Kingdom or Epcot, it's not going to affect you too much. But if you are planning on driving or taking the buses, sometimes these really can affect traffic. So the first one is in January, and that's the marathon weekend from January 7th to the 11th. We already have the dates for these. By the way, these are all sold out. If you're interested, every single one so far this year has been sold out. So you really need to book these super early if you are interested. If you had no idea that they have marathons in Disney World, they do, and they book up so fast. So, definitely go onto the Run Disney website. I think you can get like alerts when you can register and all of that. So, but these are important to know for the reasons that I said. So after the January one, there is also the Princess Marathon, which is February 26th to March 2nd. And then we go into the Springtime Surprise Marathon, which is April 16th to the 20th. And now the last one for the year is the Wine and Dine Half Marathon, and that usually takes place in October. This is the only one that we don't have the dates for yet. So obviously registration has not started yet for this one. So if you're interested, go to the Run Disney website now and sign up for alerts, or try to find out when registration begins if you're interested in doing it. But we don't know the dates for that one yet, but usually it's sometime in October. Next up, we have the After Hours events, which are coming back for 2026. You can find these in Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios. The Hollywood Studios and the Epcot ones both start at 9:30 p.m. and they go until 12:30 p.m. And the ones at Magic Kingdom will go from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Now, for all of these, you can gain entry at 7 p.m. So that gives you a whole lot of time with a lot fewer crowds, and you can still catch the fireworks at Magic Kingdom and Epcot, and still enjoy all the things that are open. A lot of stuff stays open during the after hours events, and you get some specialty snacks as well. So this is definitely and this is a separate ticketed event. If I hadn't mentioned that, you do have to buy separate tickets for these events. You don't need to have have a park ticket. Plus that you can, unless you want to, unless you want to be in the park that long, but you don't need to have a regular park ticket. It's just this special after hours ticket that you can get. So those happen all through Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios. And in addition to the specialty snacks that they have for free, they also have a couple of special things in Hollywood Studios and Epcot. In Hollywood Studios, you can find specialty cocktails, especially at like Olga's Cantina. And then over in Epcot, they have like a Goofy's DJ dance party, which sounds super cool. I kind of want to do that, but it sounds really nice. Over in Communicore Plaza will be Goofy's DJ party. And then they also have some special meet and greets too with the characters. So if you're having your kids come along, would be a really great time to meet the characters, because there's going to be a lot less people waiting for those character meet and greets. Now, the dates for these are only on select nights, so you're not going to find these parties available every night of the week. So if this is something you're interested in, whether you're already booked in 2026 or you're going to book in 2026, now is the time to check those dates, because they're actually being on sale soon in October. So that's another reason why I like to make these videos early, because you can still catch these tickets if you didn't know about them. So they go on sale for people staying on property on October 9th, and then for anybody staying off property, they become available on October 14th. So again, if you already have your dates booked in 2026 and you're actually kind of thinking now, maybe I want to do an after hours party, now is the time to check those dates, because they are available on the website. Go to the Disney World website and search for after hours, and they list all of the dates that the parties are available. So you still have time to, maybe switch some dates around if, you're really looking to do this after hours. I highly suggest doing these during busier times of the year. Like if you can only go to Disney World during spring break, one of the busiest times of the year, this might be an excellent time to get an after hours ticket, because you're going to experience a lot less crowds during that time. Or in the summer when it's super hot, this would be a great time to experience the park when it's a lot cooler and less crowded. And Cool Kids Summer is coming back in the summer in 2026. It was such a hit this past summer that they're bringing it back, and it looks like they're going to be introducing some new things. We don't know anything about it yet. We don't know the dates yet. We don't know what's new coming, what's staying. But, again, it's probably going to start sometime in May, the end of May, and then go until usually around Labor Day, sometimes a little bit more into September. But so if you're planning a trip in the summer, you can expect to see all those Cool Kids Summer events. So that will definitely be something to look forward to if you're going there in the summer. And then what also happens in the summer between June and August is Flavors of Florida at Disney Springs. Now, this is just, specialty food and drink items that you can find throughout Disney Springs. A lot of it is like citrus based, Orange Bird and that kind of stuff. So if you are in Disney World in the summer, definitely head over to Disney Springs and check all of that out. And as we move into fall and winter, we always have the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween parties. They are on select nights from late August until Halloween on October 31st. That's the end date. And it works very similar to the after hours parties that I was talking about. It starts at a certain time, ends at a certain time. You can usually get in a couple hours before and experience some, a little bit less crowds. Sometimes for the parties, they're not as sparse as like the after hours parties. They still have a lot of people there, but you do experience some unique entertainment and events that go on only during that party. And in addition to that, we also have the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas party, usually starting, like the week after Halloween and going all the way until the week of Christmas. They don't have the parties during Christmas week. I know a lot of people are very surprised to hear this, and they plan their trip thinking that they want to go to this party. But actually what happens is during the week of Christmas, they have the same parade that is during the party and also the fireworks that are available during the party. So you can actually wind up catching these special unique events for the same price as going to the park during the day. So you'll still be able to see those things, just not at the party. And then you also have Jollywood Nights, which is Hollywood Studios' holiday party happening select dates, also beginning of November through Christmas week, before Christmas week as well. So now we're going to get into some of the closures and refurbishments and reopening of things that are happening in 2026, and there's a lot. But before we get into those ones, I did just want to mention throughout the year, and this is really like any year, you're always going to have some certain resorts that are being worked on, you know, whether they're updating the rooms or working on the exteriors of the resorts. You are always going to have a lot of that happening. And I don't really want to mention too much about it because I don't think that it affects your stay unless, of course, there's a pool closing or a lobby closing or, you know, something that's really going to affect your stay. Personally, I don't think that just them working, you know, repainting the outside or working on the rooms, they do such a great job of not bothering people, you know, trying to stay as, you know, be limited as possible during the day. So they really do a good job of that. So I don't think that it would really affect your stay, especially because it happens at all resorts, you know, during the time. So if you're not going to stay there, you're going to stay here. And then, you know, it happened for us, last year we stayed at Wilderness Lodge and I had this trip booked for a year, and then a month before we were going, all of a sudden they were planning exterior work. And it was a month away from when we were going, and I could have changed our resort, but I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't because it didn't affect us at all. It didn't affect us at all. We loved our stay. We had no issues whatsoever with the work being done on the outside. So I really don't think that it would affect your stay. But like I said, there are certain things that will affect your stay, like pool closures, and we do have a couple of pool closures that are already set on the books to be done, and these two include All-Star Sports, which will be closing their surfboard bay pool and kiddie pool area from early January all the way until April. So that being said, the leisure pool will still be available. And when it comes to the All-Star resorts, you can pool hop between the different resorts. But, you know, I kind of would recommend maybe staying at one of the other All-Stars just so you don't have to walk a long distance to get to the other resorts' pools, because that leisure pool at All-Star Sports will become very packed and busy. So you might want to steer clear of sports if you think that might be an issue. And then we also have Bay Cove Pool closing at the Contemporary, and that also includes the Cove Bar and the water play area as well as the Whirlpool Spa. So that whole area will be closed for refurbishment. The other pool will still be available. So that is going to be closed from early January until May. So a little bit of a longer closing. So if you are staying there during that time, it might be something that would bother you or maybe not. So something to think about. So now we have all the ride closures and lands that are closed and being built, and some things that are reopening. Over in Animal Kingdom, we are going to say goodbye to Dinosaur and Dino Land as a whole. We don't know the exact date yet, but I'm expecting it to be sometime in January. We don't really know for sure. So if you are going to Disney World between now and the end of the year, I would highly recommend getting over there, you know, just to at least experience it once, you know, if you haven't already, or to say goodbye, you know, if you've been there before and you liked it. The only things available right now are the dinosaur ride and a couple of the restaurants. The dig site's closed, you know, all that carnival area is closed. But, you know, it would be a nice time to go say goodbye. But that whole area is going to be rebuilt into an Encanto and Indiana Jones theme area. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to be doing with this space. But that's going to be closed for quite a while, probably until sometime in 2027. So, you know, we'll get some more details. And once we find out when when the Dino Land is closing, I'm definitely going to be putting out a short or something just to let you guys know. And then over in Hollywood Studios, they are currently in progress building Monsters Inc. land, which took over like the Muppets Courtyard area. So that is still going to be in construction throughout all of 2026. They also closed the Animation Courtyard, and they're going to be doing construction in that area as well. And then we're also going to be soon seeing a closure of Rock and Roller Coaster for them to repurpose it into the Muppets. I don't see that taking as long as some other things, because I could be wrong. They could be changing the entire thing. I don't know, but I'm guessing they're going to keep the same track and just kind of repurposing it into the Muppets in place of Aerosmith. So if that's the case, I don't see it being closed for too long, but definitely keep that on your radar if you love Rock and Roller Coaster, if that's one of your favorite rides. And also keep that in mind too, that there's going to be a lot of closures and stuff in Hollywood Studios coming up. So definitely, just keep it on your radar for 2026. And then over in Magic Kingdom, we have lots of stuff going on. We are getting a new Villains Land. We're getting Piston Peak, which is based off of Cars, a Cars land. So that is going to be being built. The whole Tom Sawyer Island and River of America has already closed. It's been closed for a while now. But that whole area is going to be undergoing a lot of construction. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is still closed. It will be opening sometime in 2026. We're hoping early 2026, but we don't know. So keep a lookout for that date as well, when that one is reopening. And also Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin is currently closed, and that will also be opening early 2026. So there will be a couple of things reopening, and then we're going to be waiting for a much longer until those new lands are ready to open. So another thing that will be closing is the Skyliner for its yearly refurbishment. So this is happening January 25th to January 31st. So obviously, if you enjoy staying on the Skyliner route, I would highly recommend waiting until after or going before. So either early January or into February. Now these refurbishments are yearly, so they know what they're doing. It's not like it's going to, get delayed or anything like that. So it's really those dates that they're going to be closed. And so if you are definitely staying on the Skyliner, avoid staying during those dates, because it's just, you stay on the Skyliner route for the Skyliner. So if it's not available, it's just going to be buses all around, and you might not like that. So definitely choose some dates either before or after for that one. Now, we talked a little bit about water parks before, with that water park perk coming back in the summer, but there's also going back to one water park being open while the other one is getting a refurbishment. We got a surprise last summer with both water parks being open during the summer. So it's already showing that Blizzard Beach is going to be closed through this fall, through the winter, or through this fall until I don't really know when, but the date, because the dates don't show past like October or something. So, but for those dates, Blizzard Beach is closed and Typhoon Lagoon is open. So my guess is that they're going to go back to swapping out the water parks until we get to summer. Now in summer, they might have both of them open again, especially if they're doing the free water park day. On arrival day, it makes sense to have both water parks open. So that might be the new thing now, is to keep them both open during the summer and then switch out during the year. So definitely keep an eye for that. But if you are traveling this fall, it's going to be Typhoon Lagoon. So some other dates that you might just want to keep in mind when you're thinking about when the best time for you to travel is, obviously, it's fair to say that anytime there's a school break, Thanksgiving week, Christmas week, spring break can be a little bit tricky because it's different for every school pretty much, all different districts, all different, places in the country. But generally it's between March and April. So during that spring break time, it's going to be a little bit busier, especially during Easter break. A lot of schools have off, at least for like a long weekend during Easter. A lot of people go during that time. Easter is on April 5th. So that is just a date to keep in mind, to know that it's going to be a little bit more crowded during that time. time. And then as we get into May, there's also May the 4th in Hollywood Studios. You know, a lot of people do go to Hollywood Studios in Galaxy's Edge on May 4th for this special time. So it will be a little bit more crowded, especially in Hollywood Studios. So that's another date to think about, unless you're huge Star Wars fans and you want to be there during that time. If you don't, then I would steer clear of Hollywood Studios for May 4th. And then there's also the special firework display shows during 4th of July and also New Year's Eve in Magic Kingdom and Epcot. So those are going to be very, very busy days. Again, you might want to go during that time, but just keep in mind that it's going to be very busy. If you don't want to see super large crowds, just go to Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom during those dates. It'll be much less crowded. And then there's also Minnie and Mickey's birthday, which is on November 16th. I wouldn't say that this affects crowd levels during the park. The only place would be in Journey of the Little Mermaid, where there's a special hidden Mickey that appears only on that day. That's really the only place that you're going to see extra crowds. But, you know, it's a nice little thing to know, especially if you're planning on visiting during that time. It's just a cute little reminder that it's Mickey and Minnie's birthday. So I hope this video was helpful for you if you're thinking about planning a trip in 2026 or you already have one planned. And if it was helpful at all, please go ahead and give me that big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe, because I will be putting out new content as when we get these new dates coming in. And I'm also going to link a couple of other videos that I've done down below if you're having trouble thinking about what resort you want to stay in and all of that. So check out those videos down below. And until next time.